Folks, we are sitting here at a table with a lovely PokerStars.net logo at the PCA. I am Gary Wise.
Jason Senti.
And this is our guest. Now, he's some dude named Randy Liu. You've probably never heard of him by that name. But amongst online denizens, his name is whispered because he's actually the mighty Nanonoko. It's a big deal. You chuckle, but really, the way online players talk about you, it is like you are incapable of losing a hand of poker ever. Have you ever lost a hand of poker?
Well, yes, I have lost a hand in poker, but I've also won a hand in poker too, so it does balance out.
Okay. See, poker comes around.
That's true.
Right. So yeah, this is our first interview that we've done for the show. We're not sure yet if this is going to be our first episode or not, but it'll definitely be amongst the first couple. It's a real pleasure to have you here. I think we probably just want to start off by having you tell the folks out there a little bit more about yourself than Nanonoko.
Well, I live in California, and I actually recently bought a house, so I'm kind of getting more situated in the new home. I don't have my computer set up to play poker, so I've been doing more everyday life things, I suppose, kind of like just hanging out with my friends, helping me buy furniture and all that good stuff. So, besides poker, this is kind of like the biggest thing in my life currently, I suppose.
So you're introducing a little balance into your life.
Yep.
Is that a healthy thing for your results?
Well, I didn't have this much balance before, so we're going to find out soon.
Fair enough.
So is it by design that you haven't set up your computer yet? Is this just like you don't even want it set up so you feel like you have to grind so you can work on what you feel like you need to work on now, which is setting up your house?
I just got my house right before Christmas, so the PCA was not too long after, and there's some things I need to get done for the house, or I might not be living there, no electricity, no water, etc. So there's a lot of things I need to get done, so I didn't really have time to set up my computer. And actually, I don't even have a chair, so even if I did set up my computer, it wouldn't be too great. I'm not very great on the health-wise, so I don't exercise that much, so me standing and playing would hurt my legs.
It's funny that he says that he's having trouble with the exercise and so on. He's about 1/3 the size of the two hosts of the show.
It's pretty impressive. He's pretty much being squished in this shot right now.
Yeah, he's actually a 240-pound guy. He just looks small next to Jason and I. It's a sad state of affairs.
I'm hiding it under the table, all the gut.
Yeah, his legs are massive, massive. All right, let's get into your origins a little bit, because I don't know if people really know your story. I think they know the name, and they hold the name up here, but they don't know, that you are, as all poker players, a human being first, and that you had to go through a certain development process in order to get to where you are. How? Well, first of all, are you American by birth? Do you come from a game-playing family? Like, how do you get started in game playing and eventually poker?
Well, I'm American. I was born here in the USA. My parents are from China. Okay, so that's the simple stuff.
Do you shove pocket eights every time?
That's a little too strong.
Okay.
So I need more cards like Jack 5 of clubs or something like that.
Okay. That's
maybe my preference. But in terms of playing, I got into it in college. Some friends were playing, and I just was interested in game. I came from video gaming background, so I really was very competitive in the video gaming aspect. So this was another game to me, and I was very competitive, so I just kept on wanting to play, and my just kind of like love for competition just makes me keep on playing to get to where I am kind of today.
Which games were you playing?
Fighting games. Have you heard of Street Fighter?
Sure.
Yeah, those kind of games. I played Street Fighter, and there's variations of the same game. So
now, see, this is kind of interesting to me, because a lot of poker players come from other games, but you hear like chess, you hear Jin, you hear Gammon, you hear Magic the Gathering or StarCraft, and they each help you kind of formulate a strategy that you bring to poker. I can only imagine what the strategy that Street Fighter brings to poker. Are you trying to basically beat the crap out of every person you sit down at the table across from?
That's actually kind of true now you say that. I don't know. I don't like to beat people to crap. I just like to beat people. I don't like to, physically hurt anyone. I'm a very nice guy, as you can tell. But in Street Fighter, you're playing one-on-one. So maybe, now that you mentioned that, I would think that I would like heads-up a lot more. And I do like heads-up. Seems like it should be heads-up specialist because it's a one-on-one thing. But unfortunately, I play 6 max. But yeah, I would say that because in Street Fighter, when you play someone, you lose to them, and you're playing a tournament, you have to think about your loss the rest of the day.
Right.
So
did you when you played Street Fighter? Sorry to jump in here, but
no problem.
Did you approach aspects of it in a similar way to the way you approach poker? Did you know your opponents a little bit from watching them and know ways that you could exploit them? I think relied on something too heavily and couldn't counter this very well, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, the biggest thing I took was just my competitive spirit and aspect, but to beat someone in a Street Fighter game or fighting games, everyone has their own little strategy. So you try techniques that don't work, so you do adapt, and that's kind of one of the biggest things in poker is you need to adapt to your opponent, or you'll get left behind without knowing it.
Yep, absolutely.
I never adapted to my opponents in Street Fighter. I always got my ass kicked.
I was still trying to remember, learn the moves, it's because I didn't play it nearly enough. But I'm assuming that if you played it on a high level, that a lot of it would be specifically exploiing, what other players are doing, etc.
I pretty much just punched and kicked. That was my entire. It's kind of like the way I play poker, really. I had pretty much 2 moves in my entire reservoir, and that's all I had.
I guess all in and fold.
Yeah.
So my guess, I know as a poker player, that it can be frustrating, but it's a good thing for us that most people don't view poker as a very complex game, right? Most people think they can dive in because the rules are simple. It's easy game to at least learn how to get into, especially with Nolan McCollum. My guess is that whole nobody understanding how complicated it is thing was times 1,000 with games that most people viewed as button mashers for you.
Yeah,
really in a Street Fighter, everybody just thought, I'll beat them, and they're just hammering on buttons.
So
you're thinking so advanced and trying to do all this stuff. I bet that was pretty nuts compared to even poker, which most poker players can relate to.
I mean, every game looks very simple to play, but at the highest levels, you just can't imagine how much different skill level strategy there is out there. And poker is one of those games that, it looks like a game where anyone can play, and anyone can play. That's a good thing about it.
Yep.
But the highest levels, the best players you'll always come out on top in the long run.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so how do you make the transition from Street Fighter to poker? It's a question I've never actually asked anybody before. But seriously, obviously, you mentioned that the competition, being what it is, was a really attractive aspect to you. And I'm sure, the money was a big deal. But did you start after you saw a Chris Moneymaker on television? What got you really curious about poker specifically?
Like I said, it was kind of because I had a small group of friends in college that we used to play little home games with, and I wanted to beat them. And I just really always wanted to be a winner, I guess. I just, not necessarily a winner, I just wanted to be the one that beats everyone. So...
A winner.
Yeah, and I did watch, Chris Moneymaker, ESPN, I think it was getting very popular at that time. You see Chris Moneymaker. I really want to get there. I really want to be the one that, goes like this at the end, the gold bracelet and everything. That does bring me to a different point. On PokerStars, the Supernova Elite, I looked at it. I wasn't Supernova Elite yet. I was like, well, if you get Supernova Elite, you get these free packages, and one of them was a WSOP main event package. So that was kind of my drive to try and, obtain Supernova Elite.
Is that why you started playing a lot of tables?
Yeah, that's pretty much the main reason. It was because I didn't really want to pick out 10K so and just drop it and lose the tournament. So this was an incentive for me to try and get that and have that chance to be a main event champion, which a lot of people
that's awesome.
Desire.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to get in. I was wondering what got you into being somebody who plays a lot of tables.
Yeah.
And did you start playing that many tables when you were playing pretty low stakes and have always grinded up playing 20 plus tables the whole time, or did you eventually add that kind of stuff in?
Eventually I added that because before I was playing more 4 tables max, I'd go up to 10, 20, 25, 50 with a smaller roll, etc. But then, I started to learn things as, you play, just getting more knowledgeable about the game, etc. And, Supernova Elite was kind of a nice way to kind of grab me out of that and try to bring me to what I am today, just the multi-tabling, mass grinder, etc.
How many tables are you averaging in your sessions right now?
Well, right under 24. Okay. I tried to play 24 when I can, but occasionally I switch it, so it's going to be 23 point something.
Nice. How many hours a day do you play when you are on your, normal grind schedule? I know you're taking a little time off now, which is kind of sweet.
Yeah, I would say I play around 4 to 5 hours a day, I think. I mean, sometimes I add an extra session, which is, my sessions tend to last about 3 to 4 hours, so I try to do like 2 sessions a day, and sometimes I add a third late night, etc. So on average, I would say 4 to 6. Yeah.
So what was the learning process? You know, some guys are book learners, some guys are just experienced guys. Did you approach it from an intellectual point of view, or did you really just dive in and start playing and learn from your beats?
My way to learn is experience. So, you know, I wasn't the guy that did his homework every day. You know, maybe I didn't do my homework in school, but let's not tell the teachers about that.
Okay. You know, you're 25. They can't get you anymore.
But yeah, I would kind of try strategies, and you know, I would see other players, you know, who I thought were good players, like, well, let me try what they do, and I'll try and incorporate myself. And I felt like doing to learn was kind of like the best way for me to learn, to experience it. Whereas if you always did it on paper and you never really tried it out, you'll learn, but you won't get the same feeling as actually experiencing. That's just my opinion.
Did you eventually do the reading? Like, have you read Theory of Poker? Have you read Advanced Texas Hold'em for Advanced Players? Or?
Well, the thing is, I didn't know about, when I was getting better, I didn't know about all the internet strategy that was out there. So I didn't know about video websites. I didn't know about books, you know. So really, that was the best way for me to learn, was to just try it myself. And one of the things too is that nowadays too, I still try to learn. You know, it's a learning game. You just never really stop learning how to play No Limit.
Right.
And I play so many tables that I can experience the strategy much quicker than if I was one table. So.
Do you have time to process a lot of the things you're working on? Do you do, you know, even a short session review afterwards? I'm not saying go through every hand.
Yeah.
I don't think many people do that anyway, and for you to be basically impossible. But like, do you know, mark maybe an Hold Manager or whatever program you use? Do you mark hands that were big hands that you want to like go back and look at? Maybe not even big hands, but maybe where you took a line that you're experimenting with.
Actually, no. I've never really checked. I never wrote down. Never really looked at my hand histories. The only time I look at my hand histories sometimes is like. Just to see what big pot I played yesterday or something.
You're not doing me any good here. I was waiting to hear that you work really, really hard at stuff like that, so that I will bring that back to my game, because I've kind of had a pretty similar approach to you, where I just don't review my play enough. I used to study a lot, but I don't now.
I mean, I don't think I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Of course not.
I mean, I think it's a good thing to actually study. I think I might be a much stronger player, actually, if I did that. I've just been doing it the way I think, and it's kind of been working out, so maybe if I hit like a big block or something, then I might do that or something.
Let me ask you this. When you have read stuff occasionally, I can tell you that my personal experience is when I dive into a subject without really studying, just by doing, when I finally read something, it kind of crystallizes certain thoughts that I kind of understood inherently, but didn't really have formulated, you know, like it didn't really make it so you could like put it onto paper. When you've done that reading, has that allowed for that kind of crystallization?
Yeah, I think that definitely crystallized, because you know, sometimes you know of certain concepts, especially, or like certain techniques, you know, while you're playing, and then when you read about it or someone's talking about a theory or similar, you're like, you know, I know what they're talking about, and now that someone can like kind of, you know, point A, point B, point C, and you can see it, you know, that's when you really learn the game, and you know, learn other people's theories, etc. And it's really, it evolves the game, and that's a great thing for poker.